Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on our agenda is station road project funded with the first three of our street.
Madam President, Leigh Schultz, our acting city engineer, will be presenting this item. She will be outlining $43 million in proposed bond activities for years 1 through 3. On February 23rd, we will bring forward to City Council the bond language prepared by Millage to move that first issuance forward.
Good evening, Council, Madam President. So I believe in everyone's package, you should have, with this council item, some maps in the back. I just want to make sure they came out in colors so that, okay, I brought some extras just in case. So, overall, these first 3 years, I'm first going to refer you to the spreadsheet, which is the second page of the item, and just go over the spreadsheet quickly. In the upper right-hand corner, those are the costs for the 3-year project that are city costs, so the city road costs and then the city water costs. And then the rest of the spreadsheet kind of gives you the total project cost, and then there's a column on where we have outside funding sources. So overall for this 3 years, we've got over $86 million of projects that we're going to be moving forward with. The $43 million that Fred referred to for the street bond, that's just all of the road costs that are associated with these. And as you had seen last year, a lot of the projects, especially in these first 3 years of our 10-year program, the neighborhood projects are really focused on where we had water needs. So most of those projects are water main replacement projects, as well as rehabilitating the roads or reconstructing the roads, whichever was appropriate. And I was just quickly going to go through the projects for each year. So the first year, as you'll be seeing as the next council item, I'll get into more detail, but we're looking at reconstructing Bridge Street and Hilltop, that industrial park sub. That is a total reconstruction, just a road reconstruction in concrete. We've also got 11 Mile, which you have seen previously. This was where we got some economic development funds to resurface that road from Franklin to the cul-de-sac by BASF. The third project, this one's still a little bit tentative, but we are looking to pave an alley. It's considered the Greenfield Alley because it's adjacent to Greenfield Road. It's just south of 12 Miles. So this alley goes from San Rosa, and then it goes right up into the Walgreens that's there at that corner. So that alley is an existing gravel alley that's never been improved. The businesses have been having some drainage problems in some of these large rain events, and there's not really any specific drainage pattern. So we're going to go in a pretty simple paving job, maybe one stretch of storm sewer, and at least get a nice hard surface and positive drainage for that alleyway. The next project you've probably also seen, the northbound Northwestern Service Drive project from 8 to 9 Mile that's adjacent to Northland Center. That's moving forward. We have federal funds for that will be constructed this year. We also, to be constructed this year, have 9 Mile Road from Beach to Telegraph. This is also federal dollars that we'll be using to help construct this road. This is a road widening project from a 2-lane to a 3-lane cross-section with curb and gutter. We have Providence Drive. We received funding for Providence Drive through that PRIP funding, the road priority paving project that came from the state. We have funding to go from JL Hudson up to 9 Mile. The city's going to do it as one project and extend it all the way over to Greenfield Road. That project will have some water main improvements. The majority of the water main under Providence Drive is really in pretty good shape. It's just some of the connections that connect into that, so we will be spending some water dollars there as well. Our next big project is the southbound Northwestern Service Drive. That starts over where Berg Road kind of dead ends or converts, not really dead ends, converts into that service drive for Northwestern. So it starts over there and goes all the way down to Evergreen Road. A portion of this project over where it meets Berg, is a total reconstruction, and that pretty much takes you to the exit ramp coming off of the freeway, and then the remainder of the project is a resurfacing project, just a heavy mill and overlay there. That project we actually have 2017 funding for, but we've received authorization from the Federal Aid Committee to advance construct that project. This is adjacent to where the Durr development is coming in along the service drive there. And those funds can be, we can apply for the reimbursement in October of 2016 for those 2017 funds. The next project gets into where we're coming into the local streets, and Section 11 was a very good candidate for a heavy concrete patching program. So we're coming in there, hitting almost the entire section where we have concrete and taking care of all of the bad slabs of pavement we have in there. Because we've got some good and some bad, and it's kind of peppered throughout the whole section. The next project is this Meadowvale subdivision in Section 12. This is a project that was really driven by the water main replacement needs. So we're going to be replacing the water main there and then doing the road repairs as necessary over there. Those concrete roads in Meadowvale will be spot repaired, the exception being Everett, which will be a total reconstruction for that south half mile. Next project is in Section 13 there, south of 12 Mile, Cambridge Village subdivision. So this is in the southwest quarter of Section 13, and this one also was driven by the water replacement needs. This is the subdivision. Originally we were looking at just doing some concrete patching. The history of this subdivision was back when we paved it in the 90s, was when that ASR, that alkali silica reaction, when we were first identifying that in pavements, this was one of those subdivisions that was first hit, and that being the culprit. It's got some really bad areas, and other areas when you drive by don't look so bad, but once you get out and take a look at the pavement, there's a lot of micro cracking, so that ASR is really taking effect, and if we're coming in and are going to be spending this money, it really makes more sense to remove all of it and reconstruct that subdivision. Next we have down in Section 34, Phase 1 of our Section 34 water main and road rehabilitation project. And those are those first streets on the west side of Evergreen, just north of 8 Mile there. And that's been an area where the fire flow needs have been evident, and the fire department has been talking to us for a long time about that. So we're moving forward with that project. And then similarly in Section 35, our Phase 1 of that project in this West Magnolia subdivision, we're going to be hitting 4 streets there with water main replacement and road resurfacing of those asphalt streets. So that first year, this 2015 year, we're going to be doing over $37 million in projects, over $20 million in road, for the city's share of road funding alone. Moving to the 2016 project, we've got Bell Road from 11 to 12 Mile. This is going to be water main and the road resurfacing. We are looking at doing sidewalks for this road as well. Most of this was, the sidewalk itself was previously designed years ago when we had some grant money that ended up not moving forward. So we're hoping that one should be pretty seamless if we get all the easements that we apparently needed back then. We've also got in Section 28, this Green Valley and Bird Hills, we called it. And this project also water main replacement and then the road resurfacing in here. We have Evergreen from 12 to 13 Mile. This is federal dollars that we have that we're going to move forward with in 2016. That will be a simple mill and overlay. That's only road resurfacing in that project. We've got in Section 15, there's a subdivision just north of Winchester, Kingsley Estates subdivision that is a concrete subdivision. We are going to be doing water main replacement there and just concrete patching. And then in Section 35, back down there in 2016 to do more water mains in the southeast quadrant of that section, and we'll be rehabilitating those asphalt streets. And then over in Section 19, going into Peekskill and Waycross subdivision, it's just on the north side of 10 Mile. east of Inkster, and that one's going to be a water main project and road rehabilitation of that asphalt street. And then the next item on the spreadsheet is really just numerical, because that's when we're going to be getting, in our 2016 year, we're going to be getting the payback for that southbound Northwestern Service Drive project from the Fed, $1.554 million there. So we move into 2017. We've got in section 13, north of Catalpa, we're doing a water main replacement project there, and that one will be, those roads are asphalt roads, so we'll be doing asphalt rehabilitation with that water main replacement. And then we have Pierce Road from 11 miles to Catalpa, and this one is purely the road project here of Pierce. This is going to be pavement reconstruction for that piece of Pierce Road. And then we have Mount Vernon from Greenfield all the way over to the service drive. We do have water main work in this area, and this will be a road reconstruction as well. Then over in section 16, we've got the Bellwoods, north and south Bellwoods, that's just east of Bell Road. This is going to be a water main replacement and asphalt road resurfacing. And then we're looking to redo the roads on Northland Drive from the service drive over to Greenfield. So, trying to hit a lot of these roads. These DDA roads have been lucky to receive some federal funding in recent years, and then this upcoming year getting the service drive done. It'll be nice to get Northland Drive done. You know, we had previously submitted for a federal grant for JL Hudson Drive. Weren't successful with that first submission, but we'll be applying to that one again as well, trying to make infrastructure improvements and get that road resurfaced. Our last big project in 2017 is a new bridge replacement. This is on 9 Mile over the Evans Creek. So that's over by Sutton Place Apartments, or by the Plum Hollow Golf Course there. That's a large bridge that's been expanded over the years, so it has dual history there. The original bridge is still there, and at some point it was widened when the road went wider. So altogether, that's $86 million of investment. We are really excited to be able to move forward with some of these road improvement projects into streets on path. Focusing where we know we have the water main needs already, really help us extend the road dollars. You know, whatever portion of the road is disturbed based on the water main, we can utilize some of the water funds for that piece of the road too. So it makes sense if we're going to be redoing these roads that we make sure we've got good infrastructure underneath. Were there any questions on those projects?
Yeah, I do. On any of this road work, are there homes that are on septic, or are these all on water already? For instance, the Peekskill and Waycross, are they on septic, or are they?
I don't know again. I'm not sure if Peekskill and Waycross was part of that pollution control when we put that in or not. It doesn't, no? Older sewer, so everyone should be connected to it, so.
Any of the others that are on septic?
I don't think so.
No, only if there was just
Right.
an oddball in there.
Okay.
Right, as I'm looking at these, I'm not seeing any that are jumping out that were any part of our newer, they're not so new anymore, but our last West Side sewer project. So, you know, a lot of those roads we probably will be hitting those roads within this 10-year road program, because a lot of those asphalt roads are getting to the point where you could do a pretty thin mill and overlay. It's relatively inexpensive project, and boom, you take your road that had fallen into fair condition, and now it's in good condition. And that's kind of supposed to be the smart way to manage these roads, is get them when they're in those fair conditions and make them good. Your overall network gets a lot better. This is knowing that we still have to focus on some of these roads that are in poor condition, and these first few years we really tried to focus on some of those worst areas.
One other question, and that is, when you're doing this road work, it seems to me that the no turn on red signs that we have are not always placed in a way that people can see them. And there are some that it's no turn on red on the right-hand side, but it's a two-lane turnaround. And so someone in the left side wouldn't be able to see it. And if there's a traffic signal, it just seems to me that we ought to do the same thing as it's on the corner of 12 and Greenfield, where it's hanging up by the traffic signal itself.
Right.
So that people can't say, I didn't see it.
Mhm.
Whatever we can to improve
Right.
the no turn on red.
Yeah, that's something we can talk to traffic engineering about, because they regularly are going out and reviewing the signage at the same time that they're looking at the striping that needs to be redone, so we can make sure we're paying close attention to that.
Yeah, because you see it all the time. People pull up to the light, and if there's no traffic coming around the corner, they go, even though there's a no turn on red.
So do they see the sign, or do they not see the sign?
I think that it's been there so long that they don't see it anymore.
Yeah, that could be. Right.
Just on the septic sewer, I think where you're going with that is any coordination we can do, and we will certainly take a look at that. I share with the members of the Neighborhood Services Committee, we know we got 1,500 homes, and we're about to roll out a very different strategy of enforcement.
Sure.
Yeah, just saw on the news today about potholes and so forth. We don't have to wait on any of this necessarily to kind of, we were kind of challenged by the press, if you will, about keeping up with filling these potholes and.
We are gonna, it'll be our second year of the Channel 7 pothole pledge. Last year we were able to pass the test. Council last month approved 800 tons of coal patch, and we've got the material, and we'll do our best to hit that goal. It really relies on people communicating those locations. I think the worst for us will probably be the service drive in front of Target, Macy's. I know last year, I know I was out at first thing in the morning at 3 o'clock, we still had people patching that stretch of road. And a number of hot spots on Rutland, by the OCC too.
I hear about this.
Oh, and I'm thinking that one day, it's like, trucks were there all day. I mean, I think, watch it. A new truck delivered materials, guys came in, another truck delivered materials, and they were working a rotation. So we're prepared.
Right.
But all of this will lessen that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, our crews will be happy once we get some of these worst roads done, because that frees up, the pothole crews from having to be visiting the same areas over and over and over. So, we'll continue to keep the roads safe by keeping the potholes filled until we can come through with more permanent repairs.
So let me ask you a question, with the voters approving this road bond, is there any way you can probably put the city on a grid where one section of the city will go through and make sure that the potholes are taken care of in the neighborhood, so that the residents feel that their dollars are really at work? Because some of these projects, are on the so what can we do to make sure that the neighborhoods are solid and we're getting to those potholes?
We originally did a 6-year plan on this, so we know we need to come back and fine-tune it. The plan is driven by our PACER rating, the condition of the road, and you have some roads that are in average going into 4, that if you can invest in those, preserve them, you'll get another 15, 20 years of life out of it. That's, I think, the objective of the SPOT program, where last year, if you recall, council approved $1 million for asphalt. We were able to go in and we did Pierce,
Redley, some of our real bad areas inside the subs. Of course, I'm not blank right now, but we did 9 really bad areas in asphalt, 2 really bad areas in concrete.
What we need to do, and we could figure this out, is last year we did some longer stretches, and those, Pierce was a road that, like the Northwestern Service Drive, the guys were constantly filling. We need to figure out how to do that in a smaller section where you've got that one sinkhole almost, because that's, they're not Like Pierce was a lot of edge cracking and, surface draining, where some of the stuff we have is what I would call, they're almost sinkholes, like a clay ball or something popped up and is moving with the hydrology. And we will figure that out, because those are, ideally you want to go in, just cut that spot out, patch it, seal it up.
Because on my street, I mean, we've got a perfect street, but there's one big, area that needs attention.
It looks like that was created by the trench from the water service crossing. We addressed that with cold patch last year. This year, we're hoping to be able to do more cutting out of the bad area and putting in hot mix, roller over it, and
Seal it up, keep the water out of it, because the water's gonna make it worse. We may have to come to a point where we have crews out there, GPS map them all, and then come through and just kind of a real aggressive spot program.
And even if our police and code enforcement, when they see something, report it back to us.
Yep.
Put the next issue of your app online, and the residents will tell you.
Well, that's part of, we can get a lot of them with a high degree of accuracy.
Okay.
Do we have a list of properties that are still on septic?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Upstairs in my office.
Okay.
1,562 homes.
All right.
Colored map, show you what the pump house is tied to. We're moving this along rather quickly, but we will need to engage council relative to a protocol.
Glad to hear that. The other thing is, we had quite a bit of discussion about 12 to 13 on Evergreen, and we're going ahead with that.
Well, that's,
I know you said it's federal, but isn't there a local match to this?
right.
And engineering costs?
And these are the type of projects, like that is not a very expensive project and, for a full mile of road. So, and when you drive that road is not in good shape. I mean, we wouldn't be going after it if it were.
I think it's, Leigh, I certainly trust your judgment. I'm not going to make a big thing about it, but it's the perception, again, if I were driving Leigh Baker on the west of Southfield, that road needs more attention than between 12 and 13. And it's, I think sometimes we might, something like that, paving that over something that's more needed becomes a PR problem for us.
Well, that's where, with this street funding and being responsible with our road dollars to manage our pavements, it's like we're really looking at the overall system and having the overall network of our road system increase. That's what we want to see. If we only do worst first, all those roads that are in the fair condition quickly fall into the poor condition, and you can't catch up because we don't have enough money to do all of it.
I did go out and look at between 12 and 13. Driven it many times, obviously, but got out and actually looked at it, and there is a lot of micro cracking. It's not a perfect road.
Right, and whenever I think of that stretch too, I always think of up by 13 Mile, because right when that pavement ends, you get into that concrete section, and that's especially bad up there. So it'll be nice to get that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much.
The other part to this item is I just wanted to give council a quick update on the projects that we have applied for to the Oakland County Federal Aid Committee for fiscal year 2018 funding. And that's page 4 of your item. The colors aren't really all that important. All that really means is we did one 4R project application, which is an application for reconstruction, and that's Evergreen from 9 Mile up to Northwestern Service Drive. And the rest of the projects that are in purple here are 3R projects or resurfacing projects. So we submitted for, let's see, we've got 11 Mile from Bell Road over to Arlington. So that takes us through that intersection. Well, the intersection itself was done at Lasser, but takes us on both sides of that major intersection where the road really needs a lot of work there. That scored very well on this project. We also have a half-mile section of evergreen from the I-696 service drive up to Winchester, and that's the piece before the boulevard starts. And then we've got Franklin Road from 11 Mile over to Telegraph. A lot of that is in really bad shape, and we've been, it seems to stand out because we've been fixing a lot of the roads around in that whole area, and this is kind of our last piece over there. We're fielding lots and lots of complaints about this road with potholes the last few years. So we pretty aggressively went after that one with a 50% match, and that brought our score up, and that's looking good, like we will probably receive funding there. We've also got the Northwestern Highway Service Drive northbound from Evergreen up to Lasser. And then we've got Civic Center from Lasser to Northwestern. And then two pieces of the I-696 service drive, eastbound and westbound, as two separate applications from Southfield to Pierce. And so far, we're actually meeting, the Federal Aid Committee meets on Thursday, and they'll see what projects get funded. So far, taking a look at how we scored compared to everyone else, we look like we make it like 5 of our 7 applications funded, which is really good news. And you can tell that Southfield and Royal Oak both had like their millage and road bond passed because we got lots of projects, both of us, you know, as communities. So we went pretty aggressively after these projects and sometimes increasing our matches if it was a high priority project. So I can come back next month with an update on that just to see how it all panned out and what we have confirmed funding for.
Leigh, I didn't hear you mention Lasher between Civic Center and the freeway.
Right, I'm sorry. That was a road commission application, so they applied for that one. I had discussions with the road commission, what can we do to try and get this to move forward. Yeah, it really is. It's pretty bad. So that was one where we said that as Southfield, we will maximize our match to that project. So the road commission submitted for that project, but I believe they submitted it as a 4R project. So that piece of Lasser really competes with our Evergreen project from 9 Mile up to Northwestern Service Drive. And they're not likely to fund more than one.
And there will be a conversation, Red is talking to the county about submitting that stretch of Lasser with the DUR deal, that we would do a joint grant for economic development. Now, we typically don't get complete reconstruction out of those, but that was one of the things. And, you know, we may have this in the nomination process, but there may be conversations going on about that road as well.
But don't you think Lasher is worse than Evergreen between 9 and 10?
Yes, I do.
But it's
not
our road.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's not our road, and it's also, it turns into how many of these reconstruction projects are they going to fund. And if we're, and I don't recall like where everyone falls on the list, but under the 4R category, if our Evergreen project was first and Lasser was second, you know, we could say, okay, we won't do ours, and you get yours, but we may not. You know, who knows when our opportunity will come up again that we're the top scorer for our project.
Thank you. That was fun to hear something else.
All right, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda.